All right, let's talk about mensuration, the new topic we're going to start, and let's understand what's going on. This is one of the last chapters from the textbook standpoint of view, and let's understand in this episode just the overall exam questions. How should we think about preparing for mensuration? If should we prepare at all, and what are the overall weightage? This is kind of the syllabus from on the mensuration. From the textbooks. Let me change the color of that. Okay. And this is the weightage. If you see here, the weightage for overall mensuration is for 8 marks. Okay, that's what they are giving 8 hours to cover this topic. I don't know how they're going to cover in 8 hours, but it's okay. So it's for 8 marks, and the order of the priority of all the chapters by weightage, I've gone in the descending order. So if you see the highest weightage, I put in the top, and mensuration kind of stacks somewhere in 4th or 5th. If it's 8 marks, it comes in the 5th ranking. But sometimes what's happening is, if you see the note here, I'll show you a couple of question papers. First of all, for all question papers, it's not 8 marks. Minimum it comes for 10 marks. That's number one. Okay, and for a couple of papers, it has even come for 14 marks. I'll show you one example here. If you see, there are 2 papers, I think, but let's check out one of the papers. If you take this, I think this is a summer 2018 paper. If you see here, question number 1D, it's here. There's any 5 for 10 marks. So each is 2. So there's 2 marks and 2 marks. Okay. And then again, over here, typically it does not come in question number 2D over here. It does not come. So it's for 4 marks here. Typically it does not come, but this time it has come. Twice it has happened that it has come here. Normally, in this section, it's either a trigonometry or a matrices kind of a problem. So it comes, and then it comes in, I think, in question number 5 as one of the options. If you see question number 5C, this whole piece is for 6 marks. Okay, this is what it comes. So the 6 over here and the 4 over here, 10, and plus 4, it's 14. And typically this one does not come. This question number, it has come only twice in 2 question papers. So even if you ignore this for a minute, and even if you count the 2 and 2, 4, which is typical, and the 6 at the bottom, then also it's minimum 10 marks and not 8 marks. And that's the reason I've put that as over there as 10 to 14. If you see here, 10 to 14. So minimum, you can assume that minimum is going to come for 10 marks. And if you're lucky or unlucky based on whether you like this topic or not, it's going to be for 14 marks. Okay. So that's one. And then we'll have to figure out, assume that you're going to prepare for trigonometry and you're going to prepare for matrices also. And we have to choose from the remaining chapters. Mensuration is a good topic to pick up because of the overall weightage, because of ease of solving, and the way the questions are structured within the options. If you choose that, you can almost completely skip some of the topics. Like you can skip this, you can skip this, you can almost skip this also. And cover the rest on the other topics. Okay, so that gives you, if you don't want to cover the whole syllabus, you can do that. But that I'll cover in a separate video on the overall strategy. But mensuration, that's the thing that I wanted to bring. And in terms of knowing your topic, before you go ahead, what are the different things of mensuration? So if you see here, I pasted all the questions, just extracted the questions belonging to mensuration for the last 4 papers, starting with winter 2019 and dating back all the way to winter 2017 before the syllabus got changed. So if you see, typically it's all calculation based. Find the length of this, find the volume of this, and stuff like that. Okay, it's all calculation. So they'll give you some data, and then you have to find something. That means there is some calculation involved. You will not get concepts like show that or prove that left hand side is equal to right hand side or some other type of questions. You will not get a theorem to prove and all those things. So all are formula based. So based on that, what's happening is you will have to remember the formulas for all the different types of mensuration problems. And the good news is the formulas are not that difficult to remember. You don't have to mug up or memorize everything. You just memorize a few ones, a handful of ones which you already know, maybe 3 or 4. And for the remaining, I will teach you a way to easily compute them on the fly. So you don't have to memorize the whole thing. You can just spend few seconds on the side and scribble and then kind of compute it. For example, if you know the formula for the cylinder, let's say you memorize this, okay? Or let's say you also know how to compute, but let's say you memorize this, okay? So based on this, you can figure out the volume of the cone and volume of the sphere. So for other things like this, you don't have to memorize. You just memorize this one, and for all the remaining list, which can be derived from this, I'll teach you easy tricks. So on the exam, on the side, you can just do some doodle and calculate the formula quickly and apply them. So that's the thing that you can do. So you don't have to really mug up everything, okay? So that's the good news. The bad news is once you calculate, right, this we have covered, this we have covered. The bad news is once you calculate the answer, there is no way you can put back the answer in any equation to see whether your answer is correct or not. So there is no cross-referencing either using a calculator or some sort of values that you can put that I've shown you in matrices and determinants and trigonometry. Between calculator and putting back the equations into the given equations, you can verify your answer is correct or not. You cannot do that here, okay? So that's the reason, since it's all calculation, you have to be very careful so that you don't do any calculation mistakes. And hence I would recommend, since these are overall not time consuming and not lengthy, once you apply the formula, it's pretty straightforward. So there are hardly 2 or 3 steps involved in the calculation. So they're not going to be very time consuming. In fact, they are very student time friendly. So given that, and to avoid calculation mistakes, I'll always recommend that should you choose to attempt a mensuration problem, you always go slow on that. There's no hurry, because taking a couple of minutes extra is fine, because it's not lengthy to start with. It's not going to consume much of your time. And once you get your answers, always double check all the steps to make sure that you're securing your marks. Those are the tips and tricks on how I would structure this topic in terms of preparation. Again, knowing the topic, how that is structured, and what is your strong point and what is your weak point, how should you play with that. And then I'll put an overall separate video once I complete all my episodes on all topics, how to think about the overall topics, what to study, what not to study. If there are students who are good in trigonometry and matrices, what they can skip, what they should not skip. I'll put a separate video, and based on that, you can figure out where you stand, and then you can prepare your syllabus accordingly. So I'll see you in the next episodes, and we'll start with this syllabus on mensuration, and we'll try to cover it and cover the ground as much as possible.